August 23rd, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart on the NinjaTrader 8 platform. There was only one piece of economic data that came out today around 6:45 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. It was the flash PMI and services PMI numbers. And you could argue that, yes, it looked like it caused this rally to start moving up on prices. And I did see two large legs. Go down to the descriptions below. You can see where I thought I saw setups as well as where I took my trades. I took two trades today and unfortunately both lost. They were both, I thought, fairly decent setups, but I think I got tricked and faked out. So they actually happened later in the day, and there was some trades that I missed. There was one trade I tried to take, but I missed, and then there's other trades I thought were almost there, but not quite, because either the signal bar wasn't set up just right, or the setup just wasn't clean enough for me to feel comfortable. Now I've seen these happen, throughout the last few weeks. What I call them almost setups, where they look like they're almost there. But I think with time, I should get better at recognizing the almost setups as being, for the most part, probably valid. But right now, since I'm still considering myself a pretty, beginner to the strategy, I would be waiting and just, noting them, and just for my benefit. Future, as I see them more and more, I'll get more and more comfortable with knowing properly how they react. So it looked like after the open, well, I'm going to go into the trades today, and there was the highs and lows here, but as you can see, it didn't really respect this trading range for too long, and it broke out. It looked like everything kind of traded in this red channel that I had here, and this red channel kind of got me in trouble toward the end where I took my two trades. Look like there's two measured moves, large measured moves. Two, the second one, it traded pretty much right to it, and it consolidated, and then of course this is the kind of at the close of regular trading hours, so it doesn't really matter there. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. Overall volatility was a little low, but there was large bullish bias in play. So this is the pre-market. Just kind of draw these just to, just for good habit, try to get better at drawing trend lines. So on the open, it looks like it was a new low here. First entry short, technically at a second entry short, but I saw it as two legs up. First leg up, first entry short, second leg up, second entry short. Now here it just feels like there is a completed measure move. It's kind of towards the middle of this trading range, but nothing I felt comfortable taking a setup because this signal bar is too bullish anyways. So I decided to wait. Prices look like they chopped within this trading range pretty nicely, fit. I mean, there are some tails that spiked out, so it isn't the cleanest trading range, but it is clearly within the trading range. Prices are consolidating. It moves up. So at this point, I do consider this red channel, at least the bottom part here. At the time, I actually had the top of this red line, red channel down here. But later, it looked like it fit pretty well as a midline right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this for here for now. Just pretend that this dotted midline is the top of my range, the top of my channel. As I continue moving, I don't see any good clean setups yet. I like the EMA is also trending up, so they're in harmony. Comes down, I do see the first setup right here. It's the first entry long right here from a new high. Second entry long, it's bouncing off the bottom of this channel. And I thought, okay, this is potentially a setup. It's a good signal bar right here. It's the first break of this channel though, because at the time I actually was playing with the idea that maybe this channel is actually lower right here. And actually at one time I also debated, so it looked like something like this because it also fit pretty well. I also debated that potentially it was actually down here. I drew this, and I connected here, connected here. One time this actually looked like it was pretty decent because it looked like, it would fit here, at least at the bottom. At the top, it didn't look so clean. So then that's why I said, it looked like it is, below the EMA and it's the first break of that original channel. So I wanted to wait for a higher low confirmation. You get a higher low here, but it's clearly past the point of the move now. And you don't want to take a higher low here because it's so far from the signal bar. It's also entering no man's land where it's getting close to the top of the pre-market range, as well as it just, it's not clean a setup. When prices continue moving, I see another new high, first entry long, comes back down. I'm wondering if there's going to be a second entry long because I know there might be a reaction right where the EMA is. It does. It reacts at the EMA. It bounces up. So When I was watching this, it bounced off the EMA. It's right at the midline of this channel right here, and it's getting close to the top of this range. And unfortunately, it's also getting close to the top or the highs of the previous. So this is the previous high. I was wondering and concerned that I might hit here and come back down because you really don't know that this is going to trend upwards. You're just thinking at this point, this could be just a larger range. So I had to let it go. You do have a higher low here, but now it's like you see this and it's breaking out. So you're thinking a breakout might fail. So I don't want to take that setup. Press to continue, pops up, and I do see a second entry long. That's a hidden one. I see a new high here. First entry long, pulls back, breaks below this candle here by one tick, then it flashes back up and actually gets one tick higher than this guy. So this engulfing candle creates this second entry long, all within the span of this one candle. So it's from here, first entry long, pulls back, pushes back up, makes a second entry long. You could argue that it bounced off the EMA, but in this case, I consider this as potentially the signal bar where it actually broke higher, which really isn't good. It feels a little congested, and it looks like the top is too close. And although it bounced off the EMA, this looks like a nice setup. Unfortunately, this is already pushing the current highs. So I just didn't feel that comfortable. I thought it could have been like a failed breakout here, and then this would have been like a higher low or a high, higher, lower high that might have actually moved back down. So I was a little leery, had to let it go. Of course, it works out. Prices continue moving. I see a new high here. First entry long now breaks below. This flashes up. So I draw this as a trading range or an area of congestion. When it flashed up, I realized this was the second entry long. I marked it for myself. Unfortunately, close below EMA. It was bad signal bar, so I definitely wasn't ready to take a trade. It did bounce off this potential, trading range from the pre-market highs and lows. And it looks like it's pushing back up. So I thought when I saw this, it's better to wait for a higher low confirmation. Prices continue moving. And right here, I get your higher low. Here's the higher low. Of course, you don't know if the next candle is going to tick another bit lower. So when it flashes and completes, then you realize this truly is the higher low. When I saw this higher low, it's already too late to take the trade because when when this one closes, then you realize, okay, this was a higher low, but where would you take this trade? Would you try to put it one tick above here, but you're running into a potential top of the range. This is in its own range, could have a failed breakout that comes right back down. So this felt like it's too late. It's bouncing off the EMA. That's a good, I guess, point to take a long, and it's also above the midline here. But it feels like you're pushing into the highs. And it looks like if you did take it even one tick above, you would have gotten filled here, flash down. It depends on where you took your stop, because if you had one stop below this guy, you would have gotten stopped out. And if you didn't, most likely this would have stopped you out, or one of these guys. So then it's also a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. Again, I don't know this is a second entry long. I'm not quite looking for a second entry long because I don't like how this signal bar is below the EMA. And then it flashes one more below, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm thinking it's going to come back and touch this side, or at least the bottom of this range. So when this flashes up, you got to confirm new high, first entry long, second entry long. So this is the signal bar. Unfortunately, it's below the EMA. It's a good signal bar though, but it's unfortunately below the EMA. It's kind of in the middle of the trading range, so it's in no man's land. And you only really get a confirmed second entry long after this bar closes. So then your option is to take it one tick above this guy originally, or if you're chasing it, one tick above this guy. Now, I wouldn't recommend for myself to chase it and take it one tick above this guy, especially when I'm running into the top of this range. Had this range actually been much higher, then I would have felt, okay, there's enough room for it to run up to. But it's right here. You only got about maybe one and a half points to try to get a scalp. It turns out it would have worked. The prices continue moving. See if I can. Okay, so then it hits the top. It's testing the top of this red channel now. So originally, as I said, it was down here. I had the overshoots. I moved it up to here to kind of have these two confirmations. It breaks out above again. When I found this, I realized like, hey, the midline of this red channel looks pretty good for confirmation up here. And now it looks like prices are kind of obeying it as a potential support, at least at the midline. However, since you're going long, you don't want to try to go long right where it's hitting the tops. Prices continue moving. This is an actual trade that I tried to take. So on U high here, first entry long, pulls back. This is a very nice, very clean signal bar. And there's enough room from here to get to the top here. I didn't have this green channel in play yet. I wasn't sure it even existed, but I just knew off this setup, the EMA is holding, it's pushing back up. And right here, I tried to take a trade, but I didn't have my trade. I didn't jump on it immediately. While this one was forming, it first opened, flashed down, and then it started moving up. And it was a little choppy. So when I decided to enter the trade, putting one tick above here, flashed down, I was pretty nervous. I was thinking, so I actually didn't take the trade, but I was thinking I was going to put one tick above. Went up, flashed down, and it actually went down further. Let's see. Then I'm going to take a look at my notes real quick. I don't quite. Oh, it looks like if I did take this trade, my notes said there was enough room to scalp out. So if I had jumped in earlier on here, right at this one tick above, let's say it'd be like 44.70 44.36, which would be about right here, one tick above, and I need about 5 points to get out. I need it to go up to 44.37.25. 44.37.25 is about right here, so it would have been enough for a scalp. So although I missed this trade, it's a good thing I, didn't try to chase it after this one formed. The price would have stopped me out. Continue going up. It's the top, and I think there is a potential channel here. One touch, two touch, and then one touch, two touch, three touch, four touch. And there's another sub channel here, but it just looks congested. It looks very noisy, so I didn't want to trade any of that. Prices came down. It made one leg down, push up, and then this orange leg, I'm thinking it might come down, back down to here. It doesn't quite make the measured move. Prices continue moving up. And right now it's just chopping within this big red channel, which fit nicely below here and kind of up here. So I was thinking, okay, maybe there's this sub overlapping green channel now that's actually in play. That's where that came about. So on U-high, first entry long right here, makes a double top, comes back down. Here, I'm thinking there's a potential second entry long because if it respects the bottom of this channel, there might be a trade here. The one thing I didn't like is it looks very doji-ish. Now, there's nothing wrong with doji except it closed below the EMA, but it is bouncing off the confirmed bottom side of this channel here, is this guy. So there was kind of going for me like, okay, there's potentially a trade here, but I don't feel that comfortable. I don't know if this red channel's still in play with the potential midline here. So I just kind of left it alone. Looks like it would have worked. If I took it one tick above, it would have flashed up and would have gotten me the 1 point that I was looking for. And of course it chops around. And if I had my stop down here, but more likely stop down here, it would have been safe and it would have eventually worked out. But you'd have to sit through this chop, which would have occurred. Let's see, this is 9:20, and finally when it starts to moving, it's 9:34. So you'd have to sit through 14 minutes of agonizingly watching these candles slowly close. Prices continue moving up. See, I have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. Second entry long, it is per the count a second entry long, but it just doesn't look that good just because it's too doji, and I could see this as just being one big leg down, even though it spiked up and came down and spiked up again. So yes, by the count, it is a second entry long, but it just doesn't look that clean. And on its way down, it looked like it could test this high, and come back down and touch this down here. Plus, when this trigger bar closes, it just doesn't even look like a viable trade. But of course, the market likes to prove me wrong, shows that, I really don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So I got first entry long, second entry long. If you did take this trade, I think it would have been lucky though. And it flash, fly, flash flew right up. And when you take one tick above, you would have gotten filled on this red candle. But depending on where you kept your stop, you probably would have gotten stopped out here. It would have faked you out and then gone in the direction that you wanted. But nevertheless, I didn't take the trade just because I just didn't like the signal bar here. Prices then move up, breaks out, comes up, and lo and behold, it tests this red line again. Looks like it's a failed breakout. On top of that, it looks like it has now completed the measured move, which I saw from lows here, moved up to one leg. Kind of says one big giant leg, consolidation, and it starts a second leg, and it kind of completed it at that point. So I thought, okay, maybe it's going to take a breath, come back down, and maybe test this side. So I'm just looking for that. And if it makes a first entry long, comes up, makes a double top, triple top, and actually keeps going up a little bit higher. So it's holding outside this red channel now. So I'm just watching carefully. I'm not too sure what's going on. Prices continue moving down, falls into this channel. Now keep in mind this yellow channel doesn't really exist yet. I don't. It shows up later. Saw one leg down, and I saw a second entry short that's hidden. So it's actually a new low here. First entry short, just like the hidden second entry long previously. The first entry short pulls up, breaks above by one tick, and then comes right back down by about two ticks. So within the life of this candle, it made a second entry short. So first entry short pulls up, second entry short. I actually thought this is, if I recognize it faster and sooner, it was actually a possible trade because it's rejecting off the EMA. I do see, I didn't have this yellow channel in play yet, so I didn't really have another key entry point, but it looked like it made one move down, broke out of this green channel, broke out, and now most likely it wants to test this low. So there's enough room from here down to here. So I thought this was probably, actually after the fact, a good trade. So I thought, actually this is a pretty good trade. Or not a good trade, but something worthwhile. Looks like it would have worked, flashed out, and then unfortunately, it doesn't give you a lower high to feel good about because technically this is the lower high, but I count this as part of the first setup. Then prices continue, and this is actually where I take my first trade and where I feel like I got trapped. So I had this red channel in play. It looked like it fit pretty well. Now you could argue there was an overshoot here, or perhaps if you moved it up, you would contain the overshoot all within the channel, but I treated it as an overshoot. So I have a few things I got to say about this trade. It was a good learning experience. This is where I actually took my first trade, as I said. There's a new low, you have first entry short, then a second entry short. And on the second entry short, when it's confirmed here, rejection by the EMA, it bounced and went back up. So right on this green candle, you have a failed second entry short. When I saw this, I thought, okay, a failed second entry short, red channel looks like it's holding. It looks like it has enough oomph, plus it closed above the EMA to at least get a quick 1 point scalp out of this. Now, this is one leg down, pulls up, second leg down. And I was looking for a measured move down to here, but when it made one attempt, it looked like it made one attempt to keep going down. It couldn't do it. It broke out of this yellow channel, but at this point, I wasn't sure the validity of this yellow channel. But it looks like it's one push down, potentially a second push down, and it failed. So it pushed up. So I thought, okay, since the overall bias has been bullish, this correction has probably played out. Even though there's an overshoot here, you would think they might have a matching overshoot on this side, but it looked like it failed to do that. So I entered right here. I entered at the high of this original signal bar, and I thought, I'm just going to go for 1 point. So I entered right here. When it closed, I was pretty nervous because it looked like it closed right at the EMA, but I was trusting the strength of this red line. It chops around and it actually stops me out. So I saw that and I thought, man, there are two legs made. One push down pulls up, second push down. So it's a failure of that push down. It's being contained in this red channel. This is a decent setup, I thought. And I thought, okay, it's going with trend. I'm not even counter trend trading. And I didn't consider this could have been the first break of this yellow channel, like first break, so I might want to test the lows here because this yellow channel just looks too big right now. I need more price action to confirm this yellow channel. But I did play with the idea this could have been in a channel. But even then, I don't think it was really a channel that I'd worry about. So unfortunately, this trade I thought was a good setup ends up being a failed trade. And prices continue moving up. Okay, so this is where I actually take my second trade. And this is my second trade. I thought also it was a decent setup. So when this formed and it broke out here, I thought, okay, this is the matching overshoot of this overshoot here. So this overshoot looked like it was dwelling outside, and then this one's dwelling outside. And there's a big, strong 3, 4, 5 candle push back up. I saw a new high here. Saw first entry long. Then I saw second entry long. I also counted this as a new low. Saw first entry short, second entry short, failure. So the second entry short failure and a second entry long. Two reasons to go long. On top of that, the signal bar for the second entry long isn't that good, but it bounced off the EMA. So it's bouncing off the EMA. It's kind of giving me a third reason to go long on this trade. I will admit I am getting close to the top of this high, but I didn't have this blue trading range in play yet, so I didn't consider that I did consider I might hit the top of this, but I didn't think it would be a strong resistance. I thought it would just downtrend correction has played out, and now prices are going to move back up. So I entered one tick above this guy, although it's not a good signal bar. I had two other reasons to go for it. It moves up. This one moves. So I'm looking for only 5 ticks for 1 point. It moves 5 ticks right to my end, right to my order to exit. It doesn't tick through, so my order doesn't get filled. Then it comes down and stops me out at my stop, which is 1 tick below this guy. This was kind of a heartbreaker. It was also a little frustrating because I thought I read the chart correctly. Now, I will watch other YouTubers that are more expert than me, see how they saw this. Maybe they don't even mention it, but I saw this and I thought this was a decent setup. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me. So this is already 2 trades in a row that I lost. Plus, it's kind of getting late in the day, and I did see all this happen and was waiting patiently. I knew I had to stop trading because two red trades in a row indicated like, okay, you need to stop. Even if it happened early in the day, say down here. I think yesterday I had something similar where I stopped my trading after 2 failed trades. So I had to kind of, lick my wounds, reset my mind, and just accept I'm going to walk away red again today because yesterday I also had two red trades. But today, unlike yesterday, I was I felt like I was reading the charts correctly. Unfortunately, it just didn't play out. So then prices then continue moving. It's now clearly within this trading range. I saw a second entry short that failed here. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, right when it ticked below and it failed. If I was still trading, I wouldn't have taken this trade anyways because it's getting to the top of the trading range, even though there's a pretty strong signal bar into triple test, not triple test, excuse me, micro triple top. And then it looks like it would have worked. But again, as I said, it's too late in the day. Plus, I wasn't going to trade anymore, or uh, having 2 red trades in a row. Then prices just kind of moved into the close. And as you can see, it really, really pushed up high right into the close into the last hour. But I don't trade the aftermarket right here, so I just let that go. So overall, that was a pretty interesting day. I wouldn't say it was super complicated. I will say that the 2 trades that I took, I thought they were decent setups. What threw me for a loop was, I guess, this lower red channel, as I mentioned at the very beginning, kind of, well, not confused me, but had me believe that it was stronger than it really was. And in hindsight, maybe these trades setups, just is me thinking that maybe they're actually okay setups, and it just happens to be the small probability that high probability trades still don't work because, even if it's a high probability trade, it could fail. I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 of these might have been that instance where it just was a case where the setup, although it was a good setup, just didn't work out. So hopefully that was helpful.